Ever wondered if lampreys could be aliens in disguise? No? Well, prepare to question everything you thought you knew. Now I know what you're thinking. Lampreys? Those slimy, jawless fish that look like they've just slithered out of a nightmare? Aliens? Surely we're not serious. But just hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to take a deep dive into the weird and wonderfully wacky world of lamprey lore. Let's start with the basics. Lampreys are a type of jawless fish, known for their boneless bodies and suction cup mouths. Yeah, you heard that right. Suction, cup, mouths. They're like high-tech alien vacuum cleaners, sucking up nutrients and leaving destruction in their wake. But these aren't your run-of-the-mill terrestrial vacuum cleaners, oh no. These are intergalactic Hoover machines, armed and ready to clean up any planet they come across. And let's talk about those bodies for a moment. Boneless, gelatinous, and eerily flexible, lampreys are like the spaghetti of the sea. Or should we say, the space noodles of the universe. With their strange, elongated bodies and lack of a skeletal system, lampreys are the epitome of alien elegance. They're the extraterrestrial ballerinas of the deep sea, pirouetting through the water with all the grace of a zero-gravity waltz. But perhaps the most alien thing about lampreys is their life cycle. Lampreys start their lives as tiny filter-feeding larvae buried in riverbeds. After several years, they metamorphose into blood-sucking adults, before returning to freshwater to spawn and die. It's a life cycle that's eerily reminiscent of some kind of alien invasion plan, don't you think? So, are these alien fish just a product of evolution, or is there more to their story? Buckle up, because we're about to dive in. Let's explore the dark depths of the lamprey mystery, and no, we're not talking about their preferred habitat. Now, we all know that lampreys have a reputation for being a bit, well, bloodthirsty. But did you know that these critters are also ancient? We're talking dinosaurs are their younger siblings kind of old. Some might even say they're so ancient, they're practically extraterrestrial. And with their sucker mouths and scaleless bodies, who could blame them? It's not just their age that makes lampreys fascinating though, it's also their unusual adaptations. For example, they don't have jaws. Instead, they've got a circular mouth full of sharp teeth. They're the original Draculas of the deep, if you will. In fact, you could say that lampreys really suck. Blood, that is. And let's not forget their incredible ability to survive in both salt and fresh water. Talk about versatile, they must have taken the phrase fish out of water a little too literally. But perhaps the most intriguing thing about lampreys is their evolutionary journey. You see, lampreys are part of a very old lineage that diverged from our own about 500 million years ago. Yes, you heard that right. These creatures have been around since before the first land-dwelling animals even existed. That's older than your grandma's cookie recipe. Yet, despite their ancient origins, lampreys have changed very little over the eons. It's as if they found a design they liked and decided to stick with it. Or perhaps, just perhaps, they're not from this planet at all. Could it be that these strange, blood-sucking fish are actually visitors from another world, sent here to observe us, or maybe just to freak us out a little? So, next time you're out fishing and you pull up a lamprey, don't just throw it back. Take a moment to appreciate this remarkable creature and its incredible journey through time and space. But remember, the weirder the creature, the closer to alienhood, or so they say. Now, let's delve into the evidence that lampreys might be more ET than sea creature. A little bit of a deep dive, if you will, into the lamprey lagoon. First up, let's consider the lamprey's DNA. It's as unique as a snowflake in a blizzard, or a hipster at a Star Trek convention. Their genetic makeup is unlike any other fish species, which makes you wonder if they took a wrong turn at Alpha Centauri and ended up in our oceans instead. Now, we all know that being adaptable is the key to survival, but lampreys take this to a whole new level. They're the ultimate party guests, comfortable in both saltwater and freshwater. Talk about being adaptable! It's like they've got a secret switch that lets them thrive in both a margarita and a glass of Evian. And let's not forget their survival skills. These guys have been around for over 300 million years. That's older than the dinosaurs, folks. They've survived mass extinctions, ice ages, and the advent of reality TV. If that doesn't scream alien endurance, I don't know what does. Then there's the fact that they seem to have skipped a few steps on the evolutionary ladder. Most fish have jaws, but not lampreys. No, they decided to go with a sucker filled with teeth instead. It's like they looked at the rulebook of evolution and said, nah, we're good. And finally, let's talk about their reproductive cycle. It's more complex than a soap opera plot. They start life as larvae in freshwater, transform into blood-sucking adults in the ocean, then return to freshwater to spawn and die. It's a life cycle that's more dramatic than a season finale cliffhanger. So, has this evidence convinced you that lampreys are truly aliens in disguise, or are you still a skeptic? Either way, you have to admit these creatures are out of this world. But before we crown lampreys as our new alien overlords, let's consider the counter-arguments. Now I know what you're thinking. Those lampreys with their sucker mouths and no jaws are straight out of a Ridley Scott movie. Well, sure, they look like they belong in a sci-fi movie, but so do a lot of things under a microscope. Ever seen a dust mite up close? It's like the love child of a tarantula and a nightmare. But that doesn't mean they're from Mars. Let's get scientific for a moment. Lampreys are jawless fish, part of the Agnatha class, which has been around for at least 300 million years. That's older than the dinosaurs, folks. Their unique features, like their sucker mouths and lack of scales, are evolutionary adaptations that have helped them survive this long. And yes, they have an unusual way of feeding. They latch onto other fish and suck their blood. But if that makes them aliens, then what about leeches, mosquitoes, and that one friend who always forgets their wallet at dinner? Are they aliens too? Of course not. Well, maybe the friend. Now I hear you ask, what about the lamprey's weird life cycle? Sure, they start life as blind larvae, live in the mud, and then morph into blood-sucking adults, but then again, caterpillars turn into butterflies and tadpoles into frogs. And let's not forget the ugly duckling that turns into a swan. That's just nature being nature, weird and wonderful as always. So, while lampreys might look like extras from a Star Trek episode, there's nothing extraterrestrial about them. They're just another example of the amazing diversity of life on our own planet. And remember, not everything that's strange and different is alien. Sometimes it's just weirdly wonderful. So whether you believe lampreys are aliens or not, one thing's for sure. They're some of the weirdest fish in the sea. So are lampreys just misunderstood fish or undercover aliens? Let's wrap things up. We've journeyed into the abyss of lamprey lore, waded through murky waters of speculation, and surfaced with our gills full of theories. So what's the final verdict? Are these blood-sucking sea serpents just your average aquatic misfits? Or are they extraterrestrial invaders residing in our rivers? Some say that the lamprey's strange physiology, like their jawless mouth and sucker-like lips, are a clear sign of their alien origins. I mean, a face only a mother from Mars could love, right? And let's not forget their peculiar life cycle. Spawning in fresh water, migrating to the sea, and then returning to fresh water to breed? Sounds suspiciously like an alien life cycle to me. Others argue that their primitive anatomy, which has remained virtually unchanged for hundreds of millions of years, is proof that they are simply early evolutionary experiments. But isn't that exactly what an advanced alien species would want us to think? Then there's the DNA evidence. Some argue that the lamprey's unique genetic makeup, which differs significantly from other vertebrates, is a clear sign of their extraterrestrial origin. But others counter, saying that such genetic differences are simply the result of evolution taking a different path. In the end, whether lampreys are aliens or not, they're definitely out of this world. And let's face it, whether they're from the deep blue sea or the deep dark space, they certainly know how to leave a mark. Or should I say, a hickey. So the jury's still out on our lamprey friends. Are they undercover aliens sent to Earth to suck the life out of our rivers, or are they just fish with a strange taste for blood? So next time you see a lamprey, remember, it might just be an alien in fish's clothing. Thanks for joining us on this intergalactic journey.